Hi, and welcome to this tutorial on how to use the Mesonet website. For this instance, we are looking at the Riverland Mallee Mesonet, but this will also apply to the Mid-North as well. This screen here shows the map view, and it denotes 30 Mesonet stations in the Riverland and Mallee region. You'll also see that there are multiple Bureau of Meteorology stations, and these are noted via the octagons, which are currently blank. They are currently blank because the Bureau does not measure vertical temperature difference, which is the variable currently shown. You will also see that each of these stations has a little triangle next to them showing the real-time wind direction. In the Mid-North there are 41 stations, even though the area is smaller. This is because of the complex topography in the Mid-North compared to the Riverland and Mallee. There are multiple variables which can be looked at on the map screen, all with their own color coding. The main purpose of the Mesonet is to look at the vertical temperature difference, which reveals whether an inversion is present or not. This is what we currently have open on the screen now, and it is denoted by a traffic light system. Green means that there is no inversion, and it is likely okay to spray, depending on other factors such as wind speed and direction. Red means that there is an inversion and you should not spray. Orange denotes caution, which means it may be going into or just coming out of an inversion, and we will talk about that in a little bit. Looking at some of the other variables, we also have things like temperature, relative humidity. It's important to note that all of these are within 10 minutes of real-time data. Delta T. If for some reason a station is out of date or not working for a particular variable, you can see here that it is denoted by a dash. This will hopefully be fixed soon for these stations. We have wind speed at 2 meters. Again, you can see that the Bureau of Meteorology does not measure wind speed at 2 meters, so they have become grayed out and blank. And we have wind speed at 10 meters. We also have Dewpoint, rainfall since 9 AM, and the previous day's rainfall. Down the bottom we have the Grassfire danger index. This uses an equation using the 10-meter wind. This is used by the Bureau of Meteorology and many emergency services. We are aware that many farmers would like to have this equation using the 2-meter wind. We have put this at the top and called it the grain harvest coda practice. It is important to note that these two variables are different. We will leave it to our website users to decide which one they would prefer to use. We also have a little box here called Options. This allows you to look at different backgrounds and also to show the station names. In low internet areas, it's probably best to stick with Roadmap. You can also click on any given station to get a small snapshot of what's going on in real time. You can see here that Megia has updated less than 1 minute ago. These will update every 10 minutes on the 10 minutes, and this little snapshot shows all those variables we just looked at before. To look in further detail, you can click on the heading or on the little text highlighted in blue called Dashboard, and it will take you in a couple of seconds to the dashboard. This shows some color-coded tiles at the top showing vertical temperature difference and the grain harvest coda practice, as these are considered the most useful variables for many growers, a quick summary table, and possibly more interestingly, a 48-hour time history of each of the variables. If you're looking at this on your smart device, you can turn your phone into landscape mode or horizontal, and it should flip around to make it easier to see. Additionally, if you click on this little button called Expand next to it, in a few seconds it should take up the whole screen. Looking at this one in particular, vertical temperature difference, you can see that there's a fairly clear daily pattern. Generally speaking, in the mornings, in this case about 7:40 AM to about 1950, which is about 7:50 PM, there has been no inversion. and it was okay to spray. During the nighttime hours, there tends to be either incaution or an actual inversion, and spraying should not be done. If we can mess around with the zoom buttons at the top to get a better picture of what is going on. Over 2 weeks, you can see that daily pattern is quite clear. Although it's quite typical that there is no inversion during daylight hours and there is an inversion at nighttime, it is not always the case, as can be seen in here, where even at night there was no inversion and it may have been okay to spray. When your nearest station is in caution orange, it may mean that you're going into inversion, typically in the evening, or you're about to come out of an inversion, typically in the morning. Therefore, if your station is orange and it's in the evening, it's probably time to pack up your spray equipment and go home. Or if it's in the morning, maybe it's time to start getting ready. Going back to the dashboard, you can see that you have the same options for these other variables. So you have the grain harvest quota practice, you have the temperature, and behind the temperature you have these grey silhouettes. That's actually a measure of the sunshine, and all this spikiness is caused by clouds. When it's a clear day, you get a smooth curve. We have wind speed and direction, and we also have the wind gust speed at 10 meters. This graph can look a little bit complicated, but with a little bit of investigation, it's fairly clear what is going on. We denote the wind direction down the bottom by these symbols. And again, you can change the zoom level here or expand it if it's easier. We show the relative humidity and delta T on the same charts. If you're confused as to which color is which, just hover your mouse or alternatively your finger over the lines and the little legend should show up as to what color is what. Unfortunately, it's summer and we haven't had any rainfall to clearly show this chart. We also have Dewpoint and the GFDI. At the very top of the dashboard, there is a blue button called View Site Data Views List. If you click on this, this takes you to a list of different charts. They are the same charts as if you pressed Expand previously, but with a few extra ones thrown in. For example, if you wanted the rainfall totals for each month, you can click on that and you can see. We also have the rainfall totals for daily and yearly. We also have the data table. This gives the previous 48 hours of data in tabular form every 10 minutes on the 10 minutes for a range of variables. We have data going back from when these stations were first installed, however we have not displayed it on the website. If you would like this data, please contact the Cottle company and we can arrange to get that to you. Please note there will be a fee involved as we need to cover costs of maintaining both the website and the stations, and we do not receive government funding for maintenance. Going back to the map screen, it is important to note that the nearest station may not be representative of conditions on your farm. However, using your common sense and your local farming and regional expertise, we hope that there is at least one station in amongst this network which will be fairly indicative and useful for you to make decisions. Now that is pretty much the main gist of this website. The map screen with color-coded variables showing what is going on at more of a macro scale and, well, I should say a meso scale, hence the word Mesonet, and also the ability to drill down into individual stations. It is simple by design because we're aware that this website needs to work in low internet areas. In the top right hand corner there should be 3 horizontal lines which symbolizes a menu button. If you click on that, you can see a whole bunch of different options here. If you click Site List, this gives you a list of the sites, and if you were to click on one, for example, it takes you directly to that previous screen we looked at. This is just an alternative way to navigate the site. There's also a News and Alerts button showing different news and alerts that we push out. The most recent one was the alert about the Mesonet workshops that were conducted in February. Many of these news and alerts will also be pop-up windows on the screen, so they'll be quite obvious. We also have an overview, which is about us, Cottle, the company, which maintains these stations, a bit about spray drift, a bit about the existing Mesonets, and why this Mesonet is different from other weather station networks. Just to briefly summarize why, it is because of our inclusion of vertical temperature difference, which is a measure of inversions, and that focus on combating spray drift, or long distance spray drift in particular. Another key difference is that our Mesonet, or our network, has been designed by a combination of an expert meteorologist and some expert agriculturalists. That intersection of these two skill sets is quite rare. Often you'll find some networks are only done by meteorologists or only done by agriculturalists. So to have these two skills combined makes our particular network quite powerful. And thirdly, we have partnered for the Riverland and Mallee Mesonet with a premium sensor supplier to ensure the maintenance required is minimal and the reliability and robustness of the system is high. We are aiming to be a Tier 2 network as defined by the Bureau of Meteorology, whereas almost all other private networks would be considered Tier 3. We also have a quick overview of the observations provided and definitions, a user guide. This also shows how to put the website as an icon on your phone, so you don't need to navigate it via your web browser each time. Just follow this link, and depending on whether you have an iPhone or an Android, it should work. We also have a page of known faults and some improvements we are working towards. If you have any feedback, we'd love to hear it. You can contact us at this email here, damon.grace@cottle.com.au, and it is important to note that this website is for you guys. It is for the stakeholders. It has been designed explicitly to be as helpful as possible. So the more feedback we get from you, the more it helps us prioritize which updates we do next. We also have a disclaimer. This is to ensure that people use common sense when using this website. This website should be considered a tool in your toolbox when you make decisions, not the only tool. As I said, this website is simple by design. You cannot break it, so feel free to click around and try to find as much out about it as you can, and email through any suggested improvements or faults that you see. I hope it's useful for your on-farm decision making. Thank you.